So the big tax question is this: how do wealthy people keep their money working for them when selling their business, real estate, or other highly appreciated assets without paying hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in tax? What if we, as business and real estate owners who have poured blood, sweat, and tears to growing our wealth, and who didn't hire expensive tax attorneys and CPAs to map out an exit strategy, knew their secrets? Instead of recreating the wheel, why can't we just model the way they deferred 30 to 50% in tax, paid off debt, funded their next business dream, and most importantly, leave a financial legacy to give to the causes we believe in most? What if their secrets weren't complicated at all, and you just need a guide who is a few steps ahead of you? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brett Swarts, and welcome to Capital Gains Tax Solutions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Build to Billions podcast, where we got successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe the key to scaling and compounding your wealth and life starts every single day with the mindset and practice of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire biblical principles. Our ultimate goal is to scale and compound your wealth and life so you can give more all the way to help MVPs, the most vulnerable people. My name is Brett Swarts, and each and every episode we're joined by some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires. They share their insights, secrets, wisdom with us so we can all scale, make a bigger impact, innovate, all of the really neat things that you're all trying to do out there and that we're trying to do. So we're on this journey with you. I'm excited about our next guest. She's out of the state of Arizona, and she is the founder and CEO of L Cube Consulting. She's a go-to expert for founders who want to escape the day-to-day operations without their companies falling apart. She helps 15 million plus founders transform from reactive firefighters into strategic leaders by building self-reliant executive teams, and so much more. She's the #1 best-selling author of Future-Proofing Cubed. Please welcome to the show with me, Lisa Levy. Lisa, how are we doing?
Brett, I'm great. I'm so excited to be here today. Let's do this.
I'm grateful for you to be here as well. And for our listeners to get to know you for the first time, would you give us just a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Absolutely. My story began as a director inside of a growing and emerging company that was supposed to be my dream job. I was building a project management practice. I was doing all of the things I ever wanted to do, and I hated every single minute of it. And in a moment that I would love to call inspiration, but is more accurately described as a full-on adult temper tantrum, I said, I am out of here. I cannot do this. I will not do this. And I set on the path to create L Cubed. I had no idea I was going to become an entrepreneur. In fact, I thought I was so incredibly risk averse that this would be the dumbest thing any human being could ever want to do. That was 16 years ago. And I'm here making the impact that I wanted to make because I believe that founders and people who are building businesses need support from outsiders with a perspective that challenges their thinking so that they can build the best thing that they want it to be. And whether that's the business, their future, the impact that they're making with that business for their clients, customers, and people they serve. I don't really care what that is as long as they're passionate about it.
Amazing. By the way, if you want to learn more about Lisa, you can go to lcubeconsulting.com, lcubeconsulting.com, align your people, processes, and technology. I love the origin story. Let's dive into the topic today, which is cost of poor succession plan. So Lisa, what's the #1 insight or mistake people make when it comes to poor succession planning?
Well, they simply don't do it. It's one of those things that everybody sort of has on a list of things to do someday. And every business school will teach you that it is a requirement for you to build a business and be able to exit. You need to have a succession plan. And yet we never get around to getting it done. And the challenge with that for a founder, an owner, or somebody who may want to exit is if you don't have a good succession plan, you are leaving money on the table. That can be up to 4x the valuation of your business if you want to sell it. If the buyer can't figure out how you are exiting, especially if you're a visible front person, you're screwed.
Got it. So that's really clear. It's almost like not having a living trust in place. I'm always shocked when I'm working with those that are exiting these big businesses, real estate, millions of dollars net worth, and they're like, yeah, I don't have my living trust yet. I'm like, well, then where's all your stuff going to go? Something happens to you. I'm like, before you do any of our planning, why don't you go meet with that attorney like tomorrow to get that in place, because all of the different things with that, get your living trust in place. Okay, so #1 mistake is people just don't do it. They know it's important, but it's not urgent for them. And so they just put it off. Okay, that makes sense. What's the #2 mistake when it comes to poor succession planning?
The second mistake in that is that they assume that the people around them are necessarily the ones who are going to be their immediate successor. And the challenge with that, let's think about it for a minute. I started my business with 3 people, and we were all incredibly invigorated. We built this business. We are in it together. We are 5 years in the journey, 10 years in the journey. If I, as the founder, am looking for my exit, don't you think that those other 3 people around me are looking for theirs also? So assuming that your immediate successor is in your trusted circle is short-sighted, right? Succession planning, career paths, as businesses grow and develop, you should always be looking for the next generation of leaders, right? The next generation of leaders, not your current leaders, the next group, and how you build them into a career path where at any point in time, your trusted senior leaders, your leadership team has succession plans in place. The directors underneath that senior leadership team have succession plans in place. It's a web of strength. And the more effort that we put into doing this proactively, the stronger the business is overall.
That makes sense. That's clear wisdom there, right? And also, the people who got you there aren't probably the people to take you to the next level. That's the kind of that saying, or your advisors, or even the ideas, or the marketing, or whatever the technology that got you there is not going to take you to where you want to go. So that makes sense. So making sure that you have the next generation of leaders that you're building up, and or even outside of the organization, that you can have those close connections and trustworthy relationships. Is that a fair summary on that one?
Absolutely, right. And adding that dimension of beyond the existing employee base is important because, yes, for growth, it is important that we train internally and that we promote from within. It costs us less. But as we grow and scale, there are going to be skills and capabilities that it's actually easier to procure and bring in from the outside because you're going to find specialists. And then they can build and diversify skills and capabilities. But yes, we always want to have a balance between the growth that's internal and organic and knowing how and when to reach outside and pull in a superstar.
Okay, excellent. Let's keep going to the next one, right? What's the number 3 biggest mistake of poor succession plans?
That you believe you do it once and it's done. This is an ongoing, living, breathing part of corporate culture if it's done right. And from my perspective and the work that we do with our clients, we tie it into and connect it to the idea of continuous innovation. Every business to grow and scale over time needs to continuously innovate, and we need to do that with our people as well. So if we connect succession planning and innovation, we are getting a double impact from the time and effort that we're investing into being ready for the future or future-proofing our business. It's a powerhouse dynamic that is highly complementary. And while you might be sitting there going, oh my God, it sounds like a lot of overhead to keep doing these things, the brilliant thing about it is they do complement. And once you learn how to innovate, tying that to that continuous learning, growth, and development for career pathing happens organically. People self-elect what they want to do and how they want to do it, and your teams are developing themselves for the future.
Okay, let's get some practical examples of this, right? So innovation as well as succession planning. You said, maybe give us some meat to really chew on this. Give us an example.
So let's just make this really simple. Innovation is a business process. We can talk about it from all sorts of different perspectives, but let's make it really simple. It's a 3-step business process. You need to continuously generate new ideas. You need to play with those ideas to figure out which ones are going to add value to your business and your clients. And those that you deem valuable, you're going to invest in and grow those into your business. 3 steps. Any business can do this. Quite honestly, an individual solopreneur can do this. But it's something that as you start to build this inside of the business and you have different teams doing this continuously, you're starting to identify people who are thinking outside the box, people who are willing to challenge the status quo and make a positive impact to your business, to your clients. Some of them may even be willing to challenge how you as the leader, the founders, and that team think. And that's actually a really cool thing when that happens. And in that path, what I've just described is the organic succession planning that you did nothing to make happen. You have empowered your teams to play with ideas, to make an impact to your business, to continuously innovate. And by doing that, they are building their skills, their capabilities, and learning how to step into your shoes.
Okay, I got it. So you're modeling that and inviting them to do the same thing, which is a kind of a 3-step process: new ideas, test them to see if they're valuable to the clients or the customer, and then execute it as part of the business plan. Is that a fair summary on that one?
Perfect.
And then you're looking for those that are obviously stepping up, those who are leading, those who are growing, and that could be a natural potential succession person or part of the team for this succession team, not necessarily the lead to lead, but potentially just a number 2 or top inner circle person. Is that how you look at that for current employees?
You're creating a pool of people who are showing initiative, who are learning, who are investing in the future of the business. And succession planning isn't necessarily about a one-to-one relationship, my role, my successor, but it's about having a pool of people who can become successors to different roles in the organization. And in some experiences, you might find somebody who's working in sales becomes really interested in the technology that enables how business works, and they become a successor to the CIO. Because they've expressed an interest in something outside of their area. But as we're doing this and we're learning and we're developing, creating career paths, we're giving them a path to explore a passion we may not have known that they had. And that's how the building from within becomes so much more robust. And again, even though there's always going to be a time and a place where we're going to pull in and hire from the outside, it's appropriate.
Okay, that makes sense. By the way, everyone's speaking with Lisa Levy. You can go to lqconsulting.com, lqconsulting.com. Evolve at the speed of your business, adaptive transformation she teaches, as well as align your people, processes, and technology. Okay, so let's keep going on this piece here. What question haven't I asked you about succession planning that you want to make sure that every entrepreneur hears?
So the other piece, I guess I don't know what the question is, but here's the statement on it, Brett. Every business needs to be doing this. And I'm going to use an example, and it's not an entrepreneurial example, but I was working with a client last year, a large, huge, old company, old entity. It's not even a company, old organization. They've been around for probably 100 years. I was working with a leadership team of nearly 100 people who had a minimum of 25 years of tenure in this business, some of them actually 50. For those of us who are entrepreneurs, the idea of that is mind-blowing, but it does exist in the marketplace. We were looking at 100 people who were posed to retire in the next 24 months with 0 succession plans. When you do the math on that, the amount of institutional knowledge that was walking out the door equals thousands of years of knowledge. So in succession planning, it's also about protecting the business, the history, the story, and the knowledge of the hows and the whys that we do things. What we do and how we do it, we get really caught up in that. But the why is always the most important thing. And there are processes and decisions that have been made in your business, and I don't care if your business is only 4 years old, you have these, that have become the way we've always done it. And that may be a good thing, but more likely it's a bad thing. But if we don't know the why behind the way we've always done it, we are wasting time, effort, energy, and money. And so going through these exercises, even when your team is less than 20 people, it is important to keep you as nimble and thought-provoking and challenging status quo from the beginning, because it's so much easier to build with this in mind than be in a place where you have 100 people exiting with thousands of years of knowledge that's going to get lost. Start at the beginning, do it right first, and let it grow and scale with you.
Okay, yeah, that's scary to think about, right? If I'm those founders, and so what was just the practical plan to help with that 24-month window, or maybe you're in it right now? Like what's like the big first domino you need to do?
What is it that people do? Can you describe your job? Is it documented? Do you have process flow diagrams? And I'm not talking, this doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be complex. We can do this with any tool that can draw boxes and arrows. We can document what we do and how we do it. And in those flows, we need to know those really critical points in time where decisions are made that impact the financial health of the company, that might create risk, or that truly drive value to your customers and your clients. If we understand how we drive value to our end purchasers, we know what to do and how to do it, and it doesn't matter what happens to the business, and it doesn't matter what happens to the people. So everything kind of starts with an understanding of what we do, how we do it, but most importantly, why that's valuable to our clients and our customers.
That makes sense. That's a very simple. That's simple enough, and then it's working with those each individuals to process flow diagram that out, right? And I'm sure it's time auditing. I'm sure it's major crucial bottlenecks or decision points or all of these things. Okay, how has AI or automation or any kind of tools helped in this flushing out of these things for those that maybe get stuck on thinking through things on their own?
So AI has been fabulous. My team, I partnered with an AI company last year to take this on because the sheer volume of work was huge. And we've been doing this type of work, again, 16 years. What AI gave us was the ability to sort of triple our throughput. We were able to touch more people in less time and get a more detailed level of process flow diagrams out that, quite honestly, than I had ever anticipated. So I was expecting a lift and I was expecting some help. But what AI gave us was richer data, more accurate to what individuals actually said, because they could go back and give us verbatim what the conversation sounded like as we were trying to put the picture together and make sure that it was right. So it saved us time. It saved time from our clients not having to repeat themselves over and over and over again. The AI played the actor part of that for us. Many people ask, right, as a consultant, am I terrified of AI? Is it going to take away my work? No, I'm not terrified. I am so excited as AI is getting more capable because it lets us add more value. It lets us go deeper. It lets us get further into an environment in the same sort of time frame and add more value. And solve more problems, bigger problems, and flush them through with outputs that are so much richer than we were creating on our own. So the cost value to our clients has been pretty significant.
Absolutely love it. Let's transition into the book here. So future proofing cubed. I imagine a lot of these concepts you're talking about in there, but is there something else about the book that you want to make sure that an insight or a real aha moment or a couple aha moments you had while writing the book?
So the book is foundational, and it's not brand new, and it's not really supporting the AI process of all of this. But what it is it talks about our adaptive transformation framework, which is the foundation for all of this. It's how businesses, with that innovation we talked about, then it's the step future proofing and adaptive transformation. How do you take all of that and make it real? How do you use project management? How do you use processes? How do you design internal controls? And most importantly, from my perspective, a couple of years after writing the book, how do you take your people on the journey of change to make all of this stuff real and make it stick so that we don't revert back to the way we've always done it?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I think it's creating, impactful daily habits that are really going to move the team and the culture and the impact, in a way that's sustainable and that's keeps the momentum going. What is your secret to creating and sustaining momentum within businesses?
The secret from my perspective is everybody who's involved in it. So your employee base, they understand why you're doing what you're doing, right? So that organizational change mindset for me is that critical success factor that says, if Brett understands what he's doing today and what it's going to look like tomorrow and why that's going to make his life better, Brett's more likely to participate actively and make the change happen. So this is all, a journey. Everything we do in our business ties to people in some way, shape, or form, whether it's our employees or our clients, right? We're trying to make the best experiences we possibly can. And with adaptive transformation, with future proofing, the idea behind succession planning and innovation, right? All of these things weave together. The best practices that I've talked about, succession planning, project management, process management, all of these things, large enterprise corporations use them every day. They have dedicated divisions to them. For an entrepreneur, the key in this, in the adaptive transformation framework, is these are cross-functional. Your accounting team should understand project management. They should understand how processes work. Every employee can learn these skills and these capabilities. And with that being a set of cross-functional tools rather than business silos, we are elevating your ability to execute, to grow, and scale.
Excellent, everybody. I'm speaking with Lisa Levy, and again, you can learn more by going to lcubeconsulting.com, lcubeconsulting.com. Excellent. I want to move to the next part of the show, and it has to do with building capital gains tax exit plans. We talked about succession planning and the importance of the leadership in place, the systems, the processes, the people, and all of that. And it could also involve, selling the business. I came on your show, which you'll plug here in a second. We spoke about that and these, massive capital gains taxes, talking about, you said the next 24 months, 100 people from this one company are going to retire. I mean, it's a tsunami of retirees, 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every single day in the U.S. alone, 80 million in the U.S. alone, and then about $100 trillion worth of capital or assets transferring over the next 5 to 15 years. And it's overwhelming for folks, and they're facing these massive capital gains taxes, Lisa. So talk about the importance of not just succession planning for the exit of the company, but also for the massive capital gains tax challenge if you don't plan properly.
So, the challenge in all of this is the assumption is we're building healthy businesses and that there are capital gains to worry about. So from my perspective, this is not my strongest area. This is why, Brett, you exist and why the things that you do are so important. But like everything else that we do, having the plan and understanding the path is so important. Why employees should be investing in their 401ks and how they should be moving their 401k investments into Roth. All of the little tips and tricks that we have in the environment so that we can protect our personal wealth and that we can, as we're building as owners and leaders, generationally plan for the future of what our kids and our grandkids can step into with what we've invested our time, energy, effort, blood, sweat, and tears to create for them. It's imperative that it is a collaborative, thought out plan and that an individual is not going to do it for themselves. I'll use myself as a really good example of what not to do, right? I told you my entrepreneurial journey started in a temper tantrum. And I had no idea of what starting a business meant, or heaven forbid, what an exit would look like. And so at this moment in time, I am reflecting on how do I take L cubed into something that becomes generational when Lisa L. Levy is the face of that. How do I transition that in so that I have adult children who are stepping in with the skills and capabilities that I need them to have to run the business so that I can step away, continue to live the life that I want to lead, and know that that business is going to grow and scale. Well, guess what? Part of it is I get to eat my own dog food and do some succession planning, but the bigger part of it is financial planning. And that is the part that I'm not the team that does that. And we rely on experts like you.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And to that point, I think it's really good wisdom. Hire the who, don't be the how. That's part of why you hire Lisa to help you with building out all of these things and implementing them, right? That's the whole point. You're really good at what you do as the business owner, but you may not be really good at succession planning. I mean, because you've never maybe succeeded at your business, which makes sense. So you're going to need help with that, right? Same thing is true for building a capital gains tax exit plan, right? You created your business, but when you go to exit, you need another level of expertise to help you with that. If you are exiting $1 million plus business and or Bitcoin or real estate, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to get started, to be able to defer 20 to 50%, 100% of your gains, depending on the sale and the fact pattern, but have an extra 20, 50% working for you in proceeds. You work 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life to build it. You might as well have an extra 20 to 50% working for you and to be able to pass on to your future heirs, tax deferred. Just go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. All right, let's roll for lightning round. You ready, Lisa?
Ready.
All right, knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 20-year-old self, what's the one gold nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
Follow my passion, and not in the way that like it's so much fun, but in the do what you're good at and don't second guess yourself.
Excellent. Love it. Question number 2, number 1 book you've recommended the most in the past year?
Flip the Script.
Excellent. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
I am most curious about where business is going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting with AI. Next question. Number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by.
Leadership quote or theme to live by. Never be the smartest person in the room.
Like that. How do you stay ultra disciplined?
Oh, big assumption that I am. Patterns, blocking time blocking, and making sure that I give everything the space that it needs, or if I'm left to my own devices, it all gets messed up.
What's your secret to time blocking and or just even time tracking, auditing your time? How often are you doing that, or how do you best help your entrepreneurs that you serve do that?
My method is old school, and it's color coding on my calendar. The things that are important to me have unique colors. First thing every week, I look at the week, I see what the colors look like. I know what my priorities are. And if anything comes in to disrupt those priorities, it's a questioning of, is this actually more important, or can it wait until next week?
I love that. What color is your non-negotiable color?
Non-negotiable is red.
Red. Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, businesses helped, entrepreneurs you've helped, how do you best stay centered in your values and keep a stewardship mindset over ownership?
I block out time. I turn off my technology one weekend every month, and I play. I go to bars and listen to live music. I have a puppy. I have a family, and one weekend out of every month, no tech.
Okay, I love that. So is it like Friday evening to like Sunday evening?
Friday evening to Monday morning. Everything should be staged and ready to go. And yep, I turn everything off.
So phone off, of course, TV, everything, all text off. And you're like, all right, I'm gonna go. I kind of like that because I've been practicing one where I do Friday evening to Saturday evening, all, basically call it a Sabbath, but it's basically all no tech, no technology. We have traveled. I've got out of the rhythm a little bit. I got to get back into it. But it's been great. So I love that you do it all week, and it's challenging. And I like that.
It is. And I try to do 2 weeks a year on a beach where that actually is, amplified.
Okay. 2 weeks per year. Okay. That's excellent. So like one week and 1 week, like once over here, or is it back to back?
No, it's 1 week and 1 week. So spring and fall.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. This has been amazing. Lisa, Levy, I want to just thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, giving us practical insight and steps that we can take. I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts and talents you've been given to bless and help entrepreneurs plan great succession, scale their businesses, make a bigger impact. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
Best place to find me, lcubedconsulting.com, but LinkedIn, Lisa L. Levy, L-E-V as in Victor, Y. The middle initial L will help you find me.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Also want to thank all of our listeners for listening to and or watching the Build It to Billions podcast and Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. Yes, we're streaming on both of those. I want to encourage you to continue your journey that we're on with you to scale to make a bigger impact, practice a stewardship mindset over ownership, and ultimately give more all of it away to help MVPs. My name is Brett Swarts. If you have a massive exit coming up, do not forget to build a capital gains tax exit plan. You can get started by getting the book on Amazon, building a capital gains tax exit plan, or just going to our website, capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. It's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Appreciate everyone watching and listening out there, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye now.
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swarts. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.